Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2, and today I'm going to be showing you guys a pretty awesome pistol build for PvE that can also work in PvP if you set it up right, that actually I just made for fun, but it actually turns out it does a lot of damage, as I'm sure you can see on screen. Sometimes you can even hit upwards of 2 mil if you're using like the Liberty or something, but otherwise, if you're using like an M1911 or just Liberty by itself, I mean, it does damage comparable to even fully auto guns, so the build's actually pretty good, but I mainly made it for fun. But yeah, if you just want to build to be able to mess around with and, have fun with a pistol and a shield and stuff, this is going to be the build for you. And it'll also work pretty good after the patch as well. Another great thing about this build is that the Liberty is actually going to be buffed in the next patch. I'm not sure by how much it's getting buffed, but you could use this build with the Liberty, and with the damage increase, that would actually make this build even better. So it's a good thing to note, I guess. Just going to try to make the video nice and short here. If you want to see some gameplay, I'll leave some at the end of the video. As always, if anybody needs help farming, setting up a build, leveling up a second character, getting blueprints, anything like that, feel free to email me at nick2biz@gmail.com, and I'd love to help you out. But anyways, let's get right into the build. So starting off with the specialization, pretty much like always, I am running sharpshooter. Headshot damage, reload speed, stability is also very nice when using like a Liberty or something, but you could also run Demolitionist, which is going to give you a flat 10% increase to sidearm damage. I'd rather just have the headshot damage, but if you'd like to do that, go for it. Now, before you guys start commenting, oh, this build is only for PC players because you're stacking so much headshot damage, all you got to do is just not stack headshot damage and just go weapon damage instead. I don't even have that much headshot damage on my build. I just did that because I just wanted to see how much damage I could get per shot with a Liberty, and to see if I'd be able to one-shot NPCs, which I was able to do, so I'm pretty happy about that. But I also hit the majority of my shots are going to be headshots, but if you feel like you have a problem hitting headshots, you can just go devastating instead of precise. So here's the build I have set up. It could be a little bit better, and there are a few different ways that you can set it up, which I'll make sure to go into, but the main takeaway here is you want to try to get 2-piece R&K. I decided to go for it on the mask and on the holster. You could also get it on the backpack, but with my setup, I decided to go for a Gila backpack instead so that I could get enough defensive attributes so that I was able to unlock Unstoppable Force here. And then I kind of just went hard hitting and then just stacked as much weapon damage as humanly possible. You could also set this up with On the Ropes and then get a little bit of skill power so that you can make your shield very strong and then maybe heal your shield while you have your shield out. I just wanted to go for pure weapon damage, so that's pretty much what I did here. In terms of the guns that you want to be using, there are 2 options here, or I guess 3 technically. I like to run the M1911 because it's really easy. You can kind of just chillax while using it, and it's a lot of fun. You can pretty much just spam shoot it, and it actually does a lot of damage. I mean, 50k base damage with 341 RPM is incredibly strong. I was doing well over 300k a hit with it, which is almost as good as my rifle, which is kind of crazy to think about. And the talents here aren't even perfect. Instead of breadbasket, I think I would rather have maybe close and personal. Ranger isn't great, but I guess it's okay. The only other thing I could think of would maybe be optimist, but the problem is that I'm stacking so much weapon damage that I wouldn't meet the requirement to have 5 or less. But if you're going on the rope setup, I guess you could run optimist, but I just decided against it. And I just went breadbasket and I rolled Allegro here. You could also roll optimize or something, but yeah, I'm just using this to full spray. But I also had some gameplay, of course, as you saw, with the Liberty, which is pretty cool because you can use the holster talent where you, or not the holster talent, but the talent on it where you shoot like one of their weak points, and then you could literally just one-shot the boss because you do an extra 500% weapon damage. So if you have Unstoppable Force up and this up at the same time, you'll do about 2 mil in one shot, which is just absolute insanity. But if you don't have the Liberty, or you don't really want to use it because you'd rather have like a talent on your gun, just use the D50. D50 is great as well, and it's fun to use. Almost more fun than the M1911 in some cases, just because it's fun actually just being able to one-shot NPCs, especially with the pistol. It's kind of comical, but the thing about it is you kind of have to try pretty hard when you're using it because you want to excuse me, you want to make sure you're hitting all those headshots. So if you want to just chillax and use something, M1911 is your best bet. I guess you could run other stuff if you wanted to, but these are going to be the top performing pistols. Since I'm using an M1911, I decided to go for, with my holstered weapon, a Chatterbox, just for the extra rate of fire. Isn't really anything else worth using here. I guess you could use a Merciless it really doesn't matter there. But of course, if you're using a Liberty, can't really do that. I have an AR here, just as my other gun, because I'm running a Fenris chest. I'd probably rather be running my Ranger AR. I kind of just threw on whichever one that I had, but you probably want to run Ranger since you're running so much weapon damage that you're not going to be able to unlock Optimus. So getting into the core of the build, I guess. Kind of briefly touch on this, but I'll just go over it again. The main important things here are try to get weapon damage as much as you can in most places. That would be, for example, trying to get offensive system slots every single place that you can. So you can get an offensive system slot on your holster in the place of RNK, and you want to get RNK for the pistol damage. You can also get an offensive system on your chest piece. I unfortunately was not able to set it up with that because I had to run defensive so that I could reach Unstoppable Force here. But you could get offensive system on your chest piece as well. You'd probably want to have a chest piece that's kind of like this. You know what? Let's back out here. Let's take it slower. I want to make sure that I go over every individual piece, but just make sure you get RNK, and then you're getting offensive systems. For the gloves, the knee pads, and here it doesn't really matter as long as you're getting up to 7. That's pretty much all that matters. You can use any brancets that you want there. For the chest piece here, I'm running Fenris so that I get double talons, but regardless, let's get into every individual piece. So RNK mask is, you could go for RNK backpack instead of the RNK mask. I just have it on the mask. Damage to elites here. Instead of cooldown reduction, I'd much rather have health here so that I could unlock Unstoppable Force. Way easier, but since I can't do that, because since I don't have a good damage to elites mask with health on it, I'm just running one with utility. Kind of sucks because I have to go for a defensive slot somewhere else, but is what it is. Ideally, you'd like to have damage to elites, health, or health and kill, or hazard protection or something, and then get hard hitting here. On the chest piece, like I said, I have a Fenris chest. Reason being is because Fenris chest is the only chest I can get 2 talents here, and that helps me out a lot. And there really isn't any other chest to go for when using a pistol build, so that's why I decided to go for that. You could go Gila chest, I guess, for a lot of system mods. Here, you'd ideally want to get weapon damage, headshot damage, and then bonus armor. You'd probably want it to look like this right here with armor, headshot damage, weapon damage, Unstoppable Force, hard hitting, and an offensive system. But like I said, I am kind of doomed because I have to run this extra defensive here to unlock Unstoppable Force, so I had to use this chest piece instead of this one. So I'm kind of losing some weapon damage or some headshot damage there, and I'm losing some weapon damage in the form of an offensive system mod slot. I have a generic one which gives me headshot damage, which is pretty nice, but I'd much rather prioritize the offensive system and then be able to get like a 6.5% pistol damage in here, which would be great. For the holster, I went for RNK. RNK holster is probably a must when setting this up because RNK holster is the only holster that can get an offensive system mod slot, which is huge. I don't have that great of mods, but this could be 6.5% pistol damage, but 4% weapon damage for my pistol is huge as well. For the talent, I have Precise, could go Devastating, of course. And instead of crit chance here, since you're running RNK holster, you're kind of stuck with a red attribute here. You're not really running any crit with this build, so it kind of sucks that you're kind of stuck with this, but is what it is. Going for the RNK holster is for sure worth it there, because I mean, you're getting the pistol damage, which is huge. For the backpack, you might think it's weird that I went Gila backpack. My backpack could actually be way better. The reason that I did this is because I needed it to have armor, and I needed it to have weapon damage while having the talent hardened and / or hard hitting. I just wanted to get hardened, so I had a little bit of armor. But you want to get at least 1 blue here, and then 1 red as an attribute, and then you also, at least in my case, I needed to get another defensive so that I could reach 7, and then I also wanted to get another offensive system so that I could have my 5.5 pistol damage here. So that's why I'm kind of stuck with this. Preferably, I'd have one, maybe like an Araldi backpack that has way more weapon damage, has some armor here, and then has an offensive system. But if I were to swap for this, I would end up losing Unstoppable Force. So it's kind of why I had to run Gila here. The crit damage here is pretty negligible, and I could have way higher weapon damage, but like I said, pretty much the main thing here is just trying to get as many offensive system mod slots in every piece that you can while stacking a whole bunch of weapon damage and making sure that you have Unstoppable Force. And with those blues, probably prioritizing bonus armor. That's pretty much the main thing. For my gloves, I went for Alps gloves. Reason being is Alps gloves can get you an offensive system mod slot, or not system, but protocol mod slot, which is just free extra damage here. Of course, I got pistol damage and precise here. You could also go for Gila gloves so that you get an extra blue attribute here and a utility mod slot. You do lose out on extra damage in the offense, or in the protocol mod slot, but You gain the health here, which is nice for unlocking Unstoppable Force, so maybe it'd be worth it in your case. Or if you're trying to go for 2-piece Heraldry for the extra headshot damage, maybe you have an Heraldry backpack that works with your setup. You go for Heraldry gloves as well, and then stack headshot damage here, which would be pretty nice. And then for my knee pads, I think this is a must almost for any build. You could go for different knee pads that have offensive mod slots here, but for me, getting the Gila that has a total of 3 blue attributes is huge when trying to unlock Unstoppable Force. And I just went for bonus armor. You could go for pistol damage if you have a good generic mod. And then for the protocol mod, I just have headshot damage here. And of course, you want to go for hard hitting just for the extra damage to elites. In terms of your other gun, you could use whatever you want. Like I said, I just went for an AR just because I'm running Fenris, but you could use an LMG, you could use whatever. I really don't use this that much. It's only really helpful if you're like shooting at the Warhounds or something like that. In terms of my overall stats, let's take a look here. Let me toggle the weapon. So I got my pistol out. 17 crit chance, whatever, doesn't really matter. I have a whopping 176% headshot damage, which is huge. It's a lot of headshot damage there, and I got 16.5% all weapon damage bonus. Not a huge amount of all weapon damage, but I have 38% pistol damage, which is pretty good, and then 80% damage to elites. My damage to elites could be higher if I had hard hitting here. My weapon damage could be higher if I had a backpack that wasn't complete ass, or if I had, you know, instead of the defensive protocol here, I had an offensive system. Maybe if I had some better system mod slots and stuff like that, I could have way more weapon damage in total here. But as you can see, I was doing a pretty good chunk of damage. One thing I should mention actually is for the mod slots on the pistol here. With an M1911, you can get extra 11 rounds, which is huge, and you can get extra headshot damage and extra crit chance on the muzzle, which is pretty big. I'm not sure what you can get on the micro optics. I apparently have none. Maybe I just haven't gone to craft them. I would assume it's nothing too great, though. I'm imagining it's just accuracy or stability or something like that. With the D50, you can only put one thing on it, which is a short optic, and I have a few of these. I'd probably just put damage to elites on it or something. Doesn't really matter there. With the Liberty, of course, you can't really put anything there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. It's fun to use, does a pretty good amount of damage, and it will survive throughout the patch. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, please make sure to drop a like, subscribe for videos similar to this one, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/nick2, and I'll see you guys later.